a Nick Mizesko minute, the voice of competitive Madden, and we have the honor and the privilege here, dab on it, folks. We had the honor and the privilege here of Nick Mizesko in the channel with us this morning. Nick, good afternoon here from the East Coast. Good morning to y'all over there on the West Coast. What is going on, brother?
We chilling. It's a beautiful day. I've got Perrier because I'm a fancy boy.
Go ahead.
It's a good day.
Beautiful. You drinking that with your pinky up in the air? Hold on, I need one more shot with that.
Oh yeah.
Now we're talking much better. Oh, that's hot. That's hot, man.
It tastes like the static on the TV.
Dude, you look good, man. You look like you've tightened up in your face a little bit. You look like inflammation is minimal. I've caught on your some of your social medias. We're taking a second, third look at nutrition. You're doubling down. I love to see that, man. I spent a lot of time in training. How's your body been feeling? You feel pretty good?
Yeah, so far so good. I like when you say double down because it makes me think of the double down from KFC, but apparently that's not on the diet.
That's not part of the thing, bro. Come on.
But no, we Gucci. Yeah, we taking it one day at a time. That's all you can do.
That's all you can do, man. Small habits, I'm a big proponent of that. But Nick, man, thank you again for making some time to hop on FENDTALKS with us. I'm super excited to have you. You know, you're one of the guys that I certainly admire and idolize from just being a fan of Madden. So it's an honor to be able to sit down with you here. And I know kind of like my little preamble thing that I give en route to these FENDTALKS is, you know, we get to see so much of you on TV and the broadcast, and we get to know you as a commentator and an entertainer in that way. And you know, you think you know a guy, but part of what I've been trying to get at here is a little bit of the origin story of your background, kind of the path that you've walked en route to where you're at now, because this doesn't happen quickly. It doesn't happen overnight. Like, you've been involved with the game and the comp scene for quite a long time now. So, you know, I'm curious as to how this whole thing happened for you. And that's kind of the point of the talk today, man, to get a little bit of Nick's story so we can feel like, you know, next time we see you, you know, live and in action commentating one of these big tournaments, we can feel like we know the guy behind the mic a little better. So that's the idea here today, brother. You with that?
I just want to let you know, I just got a notification on my watch that I got an interview with Fendler in 10 minutes. So I was prepped today, baby.
That's what I'm talking about. We weren't going. Come on, man. Daily double today. It turned into a dub. It turned into a dub. So I know I've been lucky enough to have you in a chat for a couple of these, so you know kind of how it goes. But I suppose like we have been for a few of these, why don't we just start from the beginning, bro? Where, if you don't mind sharing, around where did you grow up, and what was the home like as a kid? Do you have siblings, mom and dad around? What was the Nick Mizesko as a youth?
As a young child.
As the young Nick.
Woods. No. I grew up outside of Columbus, Ohio. If anyone knows me pretty well, I'm pretty big Ohio sports and Ohio State fan. So that's why. Yeah. So I grew up in Columbus. I'm actually fun fact, adopted. So
lit. I did not know that.
Yeah, so I was born in Rochester, New York, which is where my parents were living at the time. And then my mom's mother got sick, so they moved to Columbus, and I was born like 2 weeks later. So they had to like yeet back up to New York to get me, and then yeet back to Columbus. So, but I grew up in Columbus the whole time. Mom, dad, 2 siblings. Home life was complicated, I guess is the best way to say it. Very contentious household. My parents didn't like each other, like at all, like period, ever. I don't know a time where my parents liked each other, but they stayed together for a long time, which made things really fun.
That's complicated.
Yeah, so it was growing up was weird. Spent a lot of time, like, sports have always been my like sort of escape, so I watched a ton of sports just to sort of drown out the sounds of fighting.
Yeah.
And then once I got to high school, I literally would leave my house at like 7 a.m. for school, and I wouldn't get home till 9 o'clock at night. I did tennis. I was the stats guy for the basketball team for 4 years. I was a big old nerd. If you couldn't tell, I was a big old nerd because I was also on like Quiz Bowl and Science Olympiad. Like the ladies loved Nick.
That's balance though, man. That's good stuff. So in high school, like you're doing and holy cow, Trumpet Monkey with the big rate of 42. What's up, Trumpet and the crew?
That's my guy.
That's my guy too, man. In here with the legend, Nick Mizesko. Hopefully you guys enjoy the show. ! Showtime. Good morning and hello to everybody. So in high school, I can sympathize with a lot of this. My stuff was, I think, the most contentious, for my home life kind of around middle school, but same as you, like you kind of look for ways to stay out of the house and stay busy and, just do anything else. So active in high school, then you're doing a whole bunch and spending a whole lot of time out of the house. Are you playing any sports, or are you really just a consumer of sports and a viewer at that point?
So I played tennis all 4 years. Ran cross country, I think freshman and sophomore year. But my big stuff was stats for basketball. Like I did stats for like all 3 basketball teams. So freshman, JV, and varsity. So like I would literally get to the games at 4 o'clock and stay till 10 o'clock, doing stats. And that was my winters. And then beyond that, it was mostly academic stuff. Like I did like Quiz Bowl stuff and Science Olympiad and things like that. But tennis was my spring sport, and basketball took up so much time. It was like October till March. That was actually when our basketball team got decent. We made it to like state semis my sophomore year. It was the first time our team had ever made it to state semis. So
awesome.
Yeah, we played in the state semis we played at Wright State, and we played a team called Cincinnati Oak Hill, who had a player by the name of OJ Mayo on their team, who ended up playing in the NBA.
Sure did.
Yeah, we only lost by 11, which was pretty cool for a group of 5 white guys playing on the floor. But my favorite memory from that was we got back to the locker room, like everybody, like they had 3 great players. It was OJ Mayo, Bill Walker, and Keenan Ellis. They were just stellar. But we were in the locker room. It's silent. Everyone's pissed off that they lost. And then our power forward sits there and goes, he got dunked on earlier in the game. He goes, OJ Mayo's balls touched my forehead. Good. And then we moved on. It's a good time. It's all good.
Sometimes you just need that one to break the ice, break the silence.
Yeah.
That's funny. That real quick. This is your show. Real quick story from me. I was playing a play into the playoff game in the middle of Newark on a Friday night, high school football. I was one of the captains that year, so I was in front of the line, and it was very contentious. It's in inner city, and so really hectic on a Friday night. And they had police escorts to lead us out of the locker room. And just like you talking about that like moment that kind of broke the ice, it reminded me of this moment. I'm at the front of the line, and where we had to walk through the snack stand line that was jam-packed. There's people everywhere, so we're coming out of the locker room. It's quiet. All you hear is the cleats click-clack, and I wore number 52 at the time, and from the crowd that moment,
settle down.
You know what I'm saying? It was a Ray Lewis inspiration at the time, okay?
Sure.
I was playing like 05, but wore 52, and from the crowd, as we're walking out, somebody goes, "Damn, 52 got a big-ass head." Everybody laughs. The whole team starts dying, bro. The crowd goes crazy. They're all laughing, and then it was all fine. But so it sounds like for you, bro, an academically successful high school career. Did you wind up doing like any college things afterwards, after your high school education?
Yeah, went to Michigan State.
Dope.
Yeah, it was the best 8 years of my life. I wish I was kidding. Yeah, went to Michigan State, majored in everything that they could possibly let you major in. And yeah, DT Wings, go white. They didn't love me because I was a big Ohio State fan. So they weren't a big fan of me. My car got keyed once. I had eggs thrown at me.
Did you have an Ohio State bumper sticker or something? Or did they just know?
I had Ohio license plates.
Oh. Wait a minute. It runs that deep that even without like a Buckeyes like bumper sticker or something like that, an Ohio license plate made you into a target?
Okay, but let me this is, you got to know the situation, okay? And this is real talk, homie.
Enlighten me, please.
I've been Ohio State fan my whole life. Right. And Michigan fans suck. They always have. I still contend to this day Michigan State fans are worse, and here is why.
Okay.
Because Michigan State got good for 3 years, and they thought they were the best team ever. Like, literally, they were good for the Kirk Cousins years. Like, they were... Don't get me wrong. They were good teams. Kirk Cousins and Le'Veon Bell, and they were great teams. And then they had the Connor Cook years where they were decent.
Yep.
They were good for like 3 years though, and they acted like they'd been winning for 55. And so they got real high on their high horse. They beat Ohio State like twice in 4 years and thought they were the best thing ever. And now look at them, they're a 6-6 team with a bad team.
Yeah.
But that's why Michigan State fans suck more, because like at least Michigan fans, like they can at least call back to 1902 when they won football games. Like Michigan State's got nothing.
Nick is shooting.
Dude, I was there 8 years, dude, and I got punched at my first Michigan State Ohio State game. I got punched in the face, which was pretty cool. Because Ohio State won that game 42-14. So
that feels good. Yeah, they're not gonna love that though. I imagine you were decked out. You were indeed in your Ohio regalia.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, I don't like. Now I will say I'm a respectful away fan. Like I'm gonna dress up in my stuff. I'm gonna wear my jerseys, but I try not to like be like too loud. I'm not one of those away fans you look at. Like I was at the Suns Lakers game, game 2, and there was this Lakers fan who just kept holding up this Lakers flag and yelling "poverty franchise," for literally 2.5 quarters. And I'm like, y'all, dude, like. You got a life?
You want to go outside, touch some grass a little bit? I don't know, bro.
Yeah.
Louise.
Did Nick go to Michigan State because no Ohio school would accept him? No, I got accepted everywhere. Here's the difference. Why did I pick Michigan State over Ohio State? Because Ohio State was 10 minutes from my house, and Michigan State was 4 hours.
Better a little bit. I was the same way. Like I didn't want to go to school so close to the house that like mom or dad could like pop like surprise. Like nah, I'm not trying to get surprised. Like I'm trying to go far enough away that's not gonna be a thing. So college experience sounds like a long one, but was it a good one too? Were you still doing like some of these extracurriculars that you were doing in high school? Were you did you have your hands in a lot of different things at that point in college?
Yeah, I had my hands in lots of different things. Class wasn't really one of them though. Like there was technically class, but they told me I didn't have to go. No, so I did 2 main things in college. I was the president of the Michigan State competitive dodgeball team. Hell yeah. And then the biggest thing I did was I did ballroom dancing for like 7 years.
That's lit.
That's actually that's where I met my wife actually.
That's amazing. I took a ballroom dancing no, it wasn't ballroom, it was folk dancing class in college, and I remember like first couple days everyone thought it was ridiculous, but then like next thing we know it's like this is actually pretty fucking dope actually, if I'm gonna be honest with you. Yeah,
we competed all around the country, qualified for nationals 1 year.
Wow.
Started another team at Michigan State. Like there was a team and then we started a different team. So that was the grand majority. And then junior year of college, I got an internship at Power 96.5, number 1 for hip hop and R&B. I was the first white person they ever brought in as an intern.
No kidding.
Which was hilarious.
Yeah.
And so I got an internship there. That's sort of where I sort of liked broadcasting and what I want to do. And then right after that, my grandfather passed away, and it was just a big familial lawsuit. So I dropped out for like 2 years and went home to deal with that, and then came back. He was a dick. It's fine.
Fair enough. I got a dickhead grandparent also.
Yeah, he's a dickhead. So so college was great, and then after that, just did ballroom for a long time in college, and then went back in like 2014 and just. I mean, at that point, like, I was definitely the kid that was not ready to go to college at 18. Like, you told me, hey, by the way, not a single person is going to keep attendance if you go to class, and you can go anywhere you want and spend money. I went,
Yikes.
Great. Hell yeah. See ya. I was not ready for college. But by the time I hit, like, 24, I was like, oh, yeah, I'm actually paying for these classes. Whoops the doodles.
Yeah, right. I still have dreams about like going to like not waking up for like a college final or something like that. Like some of that stuff still haunts me. For your for your ballroom competitions, I'm curious a little bit about that. Are there numerous different disciplines within ballroom dancing? A, and B, as you were traveling around, you mentioned that you nationally competing ballroom dancing pair. Was that with your wife already? Was that kind of your duo as you guys were traveling around? And how does the competition work? Is it scored on precision or steps or creativity or a little bit of both? Like I'm curious a little bit about this.
So there are two inside a ballroom. There are 2 types. Well, there are technically 4 types, but basically what you have is you have smooth and rhythm. So your smooth dances, so first of all, there's American and Latin, and then it breaks down to smooth and rhythm. So we competed in American. Smooth was like, it was waltz, foxtrot, tango, and Viennese waltz, and then rhythm was rumba, cha-cha, swing, and mambo. And so basically how it works is you go out there. Yeah, at this point I was competing with my wife. They have heats of, I mean, usually each event had about 100 people in it. So they'd have 100 couples. They'd have heats. They'd send out 20 to 25 at a time. There are 4 judges positioned around the dance floor, and they literally walk around and you get marks. And like, if somebody marks you, you get called back to the next round. And that's all it is. It's just, and then when you get to the final 8, everybody ranks you. But it's all about getting callbacks is what you have to do. So we traveled all around, like to we were at, the big places we went to: Ohio State, Purdue, Valparaiso ran one. Indianapolis had one that was like, it wasn't a college one, but it was a sanctioned event. Michigan had one. So
are these like, is there room for kind of like creativity and freestyling, or are you more so being judged on the precision of like a pre-existing dance and like pre-existing expectations?
It depends on what level you're dancing at. So like the earlier levels, because it's broken down by like newcomer, bronze, silver, gold, and then pre-champ and champ. So like the lower levels is more like technical, like it's much more focused on like your posture being good and you're executing the moves correctly. As you get to silver, gold, like you're learning more complicated moves. So it's more about the routine as a whole, and that sort of like they're looking at like sight lines and things like that.
For sure. That's dope, man. That's a cool perspective. I've never talked to somebody who was a competitive ballroom dancer. I think that's dope. So you said the internship, the first internship that you got maybe en route to, becoming the commentator that we know today was at, you said what, Power 106.7?
Power 96.5, #1 for hip hop and R&B in the Lansing area.
Love that. So what did they have you doing during that internship?
It was mostly like social, like it was a lot of article posting, and when we did remote events, we'd go out and help set up the remote events and sit with the DJs and get people to like spin the prize wheel and stuff like that. But it was mostly just updating the website, updating with articles, and then like we would sit in, like when we weren't writing articles, our program director would let us come and like sit in the studio and just watch him do work, and he'd show us what he was doing, and that was for like 9 months.
That's dope. Was that kind of like your attempt to get some proximity to a broadcasting type situation? Like in your mind, was this a step in the direction of, you have the voice for it, you have like the mannerisms and the delivery for it. Was this kind of an attempt from you to get a little bit closer to a microphone, or had that not quite developed just yet?
I mean, Mom always told me I had a face for radio, so
Jeez Louise.
So it was broadcasting is an internship driven world. Like it's about experience. It doesn't matter where you went to school, it matters where you've worked. So that was the first step, and it was a shot in the dark for me. Like I was just applying like for stuff to do over the summer, right? Between junior and senior year, just trying not to go home. And I knew I liked radio. Particularly, like I'd always listen to, like when I was a kid, like even when like Ohio State games were on, I'd mute the TV and turn on Paul Keels and listen to the Ohio State radio call.
Oh, cool.
So I always liked radio because I'm like 90 years old or something. And so
an old soul, maybe.
Yeah, something like that. And so yeah, that was certainly like the first step.
No, that's good stuff, and I obviously want to hear about kind of what happened after that and from that. But we could bounce around a little bit. So we of course know you from Madden fame and of the Madden community. We rewind a little bit. When did have you always been a gamer? It sounds like you were doing almost too much outside of the house in high school to be playing too many video games. I was a nerd. I once I got Sonic the Hedgehog for the Sega Genesis as a kid. I'm 31. I think we're like similar age. In any case, that was like when the hooks kind of came in for me. When did video games as a whole, as an entity, enter the fray for you?
So I didn't own a video game system until I was a senior in high school.
No kidding.
Again, like, do Game Boys count? I don't think Game Boys count. Like, I know they're technically video game systems, but like, I didn't like. I think I had a Game Boy Color, but I didn't own like a console that hooked up to a TV until I got a GameCube my senior year of high school.
Wow.
my parents did not believe in video games. So like video games for me growing up were always like, I got to go to a friend's house and play video games. Like I remember going to my buddy Matt's house and playing like, that was like 1998. So that would have been Twisted Metal 2 on the Dreamcast. And like my cousins had N64. So like we'd go and play GoldenEye at their house. But it was always like, here's what I remember. Ready? This is how old I am. I remember for like my 13th birthday, I think, my parents were nice enough to let me go rent an N64 from Blockbuster. That's how old I am. And that was a big deal. And by the way, let's point out, I was renting an N64 when I was 13. That was 2003. That was like 6 years after the N64 came out, but it was good enough for me.
Renting it from the Blockbuster, too. That's lit. We're going to lose like probably half the chat on that. So Blockbuster, guys.
Yeah, what is Blockbuster?
Blockbuster, it was a place that you used to go and they would let you rent because everything was physical then, right? You couldn't boot up your internet on your TV, your smart TV, and go to HBO Max over there. You had to actually go to a brick and mortar store to leave with your cassette
rewind tape. That VHS. You better rewind it.
And they had the warnings right on there, man. They're going to charge you that extra $1 if you don't rewind it for them, man. Holy mackerel.
I remember our first Netflix subscription when we got to college in 08, we got the discs sent to us. Like there was no streaming. So they would send you 2 DVDs, and when you sent one back, it would go to your queue and send you the next one that you had queued up.
Netflix is one of, I think, the most successful big business pivots in the history of big business, next to Amazon. Because next to Amazon, right? Because we're the same age. I was born in 90. Amazon was just where you were getting books for forever. It was just the books. It was only the bookstore.
Yeah.
Remarkable. So yeah, we got to live through some of the biggest business pivot moves of all time there. So not a huge gamer. You got the GameCube after renting that 64. Got the GameCube as a senior in high school, and obviously had a very busy collegiate career. When did Madden enter your experience of the world? Like when did Madden blip on your radar? Did you enjoy playing it first, or did you kind of skip to the role that we see you in now? But when did Madden come into your life?
So, first Madden I think I played, first football game I played was Brett Favre Quarterback Club 99. Hell yeah. That's
okay. Throwback.
First Madden I played was Madden 07 for the GameCube. That was Sean Alexander in Superstar mode.
Yep.
And then and I played that a pretty good amount. Like that was like a pretty like a staple on the old GameCube. Shout out to all my GameCube nerds out there.
Hell yeah.
But I think Madden the first time I played Madden like pretty regularly outside of like the Superstar mode was probably when I got to college. I lived with my buddy David. He had an Xbox, and he had Madden 10, the Palomalu Fitz cover.
Yeah, the dual. Yep.
Yeah, and we would play that. We would literally, here's what we would do. We would literally turn on his iTunes, and just play one of the albums we liked, and we turn it on and we just play Madden for like 6 hours. We just play games
over and over. Yeah, right.
Yeah, it was either that or Halo 3.
Right.
So that was probably the first time like Madden, but like I bought my first Xbox in 2012, and I got Madden for that. But I think between like Madden 10, like I didn't really play. I think I played only Madden 10 for like 3 years, and then like the next Madden I got was Madden 16. Would have been the next Madden I got. I never played like Madden 25. I never touched it.
Interesting.
Everyone talks about the Buck sweep years. I'm like, yeah, hell yeah.
Right. Had to do some research, figure out what the heck these guys are talking about then. So when was the intersection then of what you're doing as far, so you had the internship for Power 90. Ours is
96.5.
96, yeah. Our power is 105.1, and we have hot 97.1 over here in the tri-state.
97.1 is everywhere. I'm just saying, like in Columbus, 97.1 was the, well, when I was growing up, 97.1 was the new music station. Now it's their sports station.
Interesting.
In Detroit, 97.1 is the sports station. Like every place is a 97.1.
Yeah, we got Hot 97. Yeah, Hot 97.1 is like, you know, like hip hop, R&B, and like all the type of stuff that we like to listen to. But I'm a little bit surprised maybe to hear about, you know, maybe like a secondary type of involvement with Madden, especially over, you know, those couple years, and you come in. Was there a time at which like these paths crossed, like this broadcasting internship and Madden? Like now I'm even more curious as to like how you know, stumbled upon the situation that you're in now as the voice and the face in some ways of competitive Madden. Where was the confluence?
So 2015, I was living in my apartment with two roommates. It was sort of like the first year that like I had like money. Like I was I had like some money, like I had disposable income, and so I had an Xbox. And so when I lived in my first apartment out of college, I played in and it's been, I think, 5 years since they've had this mode. In NHL, they used to have a connected franchise mode. You used to be able to play a 30-team franchise, and I played in that in my first apartment. And so I think I bought Madden, and I was like, boy, it'd be really cool to get into that again. Like I liked having like somebody to play every week, and I've always been sort of in that franchise mode sphere. And so that was when I like just did some searching on like Google and League Crawler and things like that, and found the NBL. And then when I found them, I saw that they were doing live broadcasts, and they'd only done like 30 or so at that point. And I messaged the commissioner. I was like, yo, like this is something I think is really cool. If you ever need somebody to hop on, let me know. And they took a shot on me and let me hop on. And that's sort of where, like, I guess the intersection between playing video games and broadcasting sort of hit. Because I was like, at that point, like I was still graduating college. It was 2015. And so I was like, I knew that like, at that point, like I was probably just getting some sort of degree to finish college. I wasn't getting any sort of specialized degree. But I was like, listen, I think esports are sort of the new wave. I think esports is where there's going to be this big presence in broadcasting. And since no broadcasting place is going to give me an internship, because at that point I was like a 2.5 student and not majoring in broadcasting, I need to find a more creative way to get into broadcasting and to get demos and things like that. And that was sort of where the franchise mode came about.
Oh, very interesting. And were you successful with this kind of right off the bat? Did you get some traction and you know, some eyeballs on you? Did it take some time for you to kind of develop and hone some of the skills that you would need as a broadcaster going forward? Or did you like kind of, and you don't need to be modest here. Were you like pretty good at this to start, or did you need to kind of like hone the craft a bit?
Decent. I mean, at some cosmic level, like I've always been able to talk. And I watch a lot of sports, so I picked up on cadence of sportscasters. Yeah. There certainly was, like, I mean, again, you can go back and listen to them. Like, it wasn't like great, but it was good. And I remember they told me, they're like, oh, like we knew you were pretty good at that point. We knew we wanted you to keep you on and develop that. And so sort of at that point, it was a lot of reps. I mean, let's be clear. My first broadcast was broadcast number 37, and the last broadcast of the NBL was broadcast 274. Holy. And I was on probably 80% of those. Like, it's just reps. It was a lot of reps. And you were getting reps elsewhere too, right? I mean, you were having your hands in commentating for a couple different places, if I'm not mistaken. So let's see, I started with the NBL in 2015, 2016. Yep. The first time I called anything outside of NBL stuff, like apart from like some like random stuff we did with other leagues, like we popped in and said hi, was EA. In December 2019, they held a contest called the Shoutcaster Showdown, which was basically they had two clips online. It was Drini Kiv's Madden Bowl final in 18, and Drini and Joel played in the Madden Bowl that year. And they were like, pick one of the clips. It's 15 minutes long. Call it like you would. and send it in to us, and we'll pick 3 people to fly out to San Francisco to call a game. And I did that, and I was one of the 3 people that got flown out, and that was the first time I had called anything outside of the NBL, was going to San Francisco to call the Madden 19 Club Championships.
That is so sick. Dude, would we have recognized or heard of the other 2 names that you said they were going to pick 3? You were one of them. Would we recognize any of the other guys? Are they still around, or?
One of the guys you would not. I would. His name was also Nick, which was a weird choice.
Yeah.
He was a League of Legends commentator, I want to say. I can't remember if it was League of Legends or StarCraft. All I know is he showed up a day late because he had another gig.
Okay.
Called one game, left that night to fly to Sweden, and he would not stop telling us how much he was excited to go to Sweden.
Maybe a little bit unfocused then. Maybe not the guy for the job over the long term.
The other guy was a guy by the name of Cookie Boy. I would hope somebody knows who Cookie Boy is.
We know Cookie Boy. Yeah, we know the Cookie Boy name for sure.
Cookie was the other one. Yeah.
And that was 19, so that it was like kind of like a competition. And like I was telling T Davis in the last interview, I'm like, relatively new to consuming all this Madden content. So like this type of stuff, I missed. I had no idea that this was really so you essentially won a competition for your spot, and then and this must be kind of where the overlap with T Davis was. He said that I think that 19 spot he was saying was when he met you as well, when they were kind of testing out some different comp players and how they were doing with calling games. Is that when you first met like T Davis and User that year then in 19?
User wasn't there in 19. So 19, the broadcast team was Scott Cole and RG. And then it was me, and then so for the challenge that year I called every game with Problem. And then for the bowl that year, I called with RG because Scott had other commitments. So I called it with RG, and that was the first time I think we brought Mo in. But I knew T Davis from knew is a strong word. T Davis was one of the big stories of that year because he was the Cardinals club champion. He took down Kiv in the round of 16. But I didn't really like I legit. I mean, I was like super nervous as it was. Also, like, full transparent, I had no idea who any of the players were. I was not a competitive Madden watcher. Like, I was coming in fresh. The only people who said anything to me who were players, the only person who said anything was Joke. Joke came out to me. We were standing in the lobby of the hotel to catch our bus to the airport at like 5 a.m. And Joke came up to me and he was like, "Hey man, I saw you calling some games. Did a really good job, man. I hope you're still around." And like that was a big deal for me. Like having one of the players like be like, "Hey, you were pretty good." Like that was badass.
Yeah, it's huge.
But like, yeah, I didn't really like interact with any of the players. A little bit in the challenge in the bowl, it was more so. But yeah, that in 19, that was the first time I think I saw T Davis, and then 20 was when I met they brought in User, they brought in Ty, and that was sort of where everything took off in 20.
Yeah, for sure. I've this is also kind of a repeat question that I've asked a couple people, and I suppose it'll be a little bit different from you since you did have the broadcasting experience and you had 200 plus reps under your belt already. But is there anything in particular you remember about you call it your first gig with EA, whether it be the setup or who you were looking to work with, or like what the feeling was, or whether you were nervous or not nervous, or like the situation? Like, can you take us back to like the first gig and like what was going through your head at the time?
So I got lucky. I still think I got lucky. Not just to be able to fly out and do that, but
sure.
So they had booked me, like they had told us the day before. So we were in there Wednesday for rehearsals. Thursday was day one, and they had said, "Listen, you're going to be calling the 2:00 game." I think at that point we had it broke down by hours. So you're going to be calling from 2 to 3, and we did a rehearsal, and it was awful. It was really bad because it was the first time I'd ever dealt with a producer in my ear while I was talking, and my brain went like it just stopped. There was no talking. He tried to talk, and he's like, "Yo, like you gotta like keep going," and I'm like, "Hold on, I need a second."
Yeah.
So I was terrified after that rehearsal because we only got like a short rehearsal that day.
What did the rehearsal look like? Was it like kind of like they put on a game and like do like a test run, like with them in your ear, like how they would be talking to you and you were like commentating like a ghost game or something like this?
Yeah. So it was basically like they ran through the whatever the block we were doing. So we had our sponsor cards that I had to read like at times when they would tell us like they'd pop in our ear in the third quarter and they go card 18 and they go read it whenever. And it would be like, the Madden Championship Series is brought to you by Snickers.
Yeah. Nice.
But they would also have usually it was the two admins of the tournament. Whoever's adminning the tournaments would just hop on the console and play a game. They'd be like, practice calling. So I remember going to bed that night and I was absolutely scared shitless. Like,
yeah.
I was like, that went poorly, and now I'm about to be on like TV. This is going to go bad. And I remember we were there and we got to the green room. This was before they had the studio built. This was held in the gym at EA's headquarters. Like it was at Redwood, but like they turned the gym into the studio.
Interesting.
So we had this little like curtained room. And I was sitting there and our producer at the time came in and he said, he was like, hey, by the way, I'm bumping you up an hour. You're going on in 15 minutes. And that was probably the greatest thing that ever happened because there was just no time to panic. It was just like, oh, got to get out there. We're just going.
It's a good point.
And it worked out really well. Like it really did. Like that. I think that not having that hour to sort of like panic was a godsend because it was just sit down and do it. And
totally. Other than like the producer in your ear, are there any other bits of like the practicality of broadcasting that we as a viewer might not anticipate? Because that would mess me all the way the heck up. I can't fathom somebody trying to talk to me in my ear while I'm also trying to read a cue card or call a game or anything like that. Like, is there, you got cards, I'm sure, in front of you. Is there like more going on top of that?
So, you're always gonna have your producer. There's usually like, I talk to in a normal broadcast. There's usually 4 people I talk to. And like I have my producer, the director, and then the audio techs are usually like if we have any problems, the audio techs pop in and are like, hey, do you need anything adjusted? Okay. But for the most part, like we have a rundown. It's basically every segment we are going to run from the minute that we go live to the minute that we shut down. We have a rundown. So like we sort of follow that. Mm-hmm. The producer is the most important person, and we're lucky we have a great producer at EA, Will, who's really good. He's driving the boat. He tells you where to go, like whenever there's like any sort of delay or any sort of like technical problem. Like he's the one who's in our ear going like, hey, here's where we need to go now. Right. He sort of drives the boat and gives you reminders like, this is where we're going next. This is where we're going after that. But like, I think the biggest thing that like, and the biggest thing I get from the like everybody from the Madden community is always like, yo, like, can we just get to the games? Like, I just want to go play the game. And I tell them, I'm like, I'd love to do that. Everybody here would love to do that, but people paid a lot of money to get their ads read. So like, we have to do it. Sorry.
True indeed.
Like,
yeah.
Commercials are a thing. But yeah, it's the producer is my lifeline. He's the person that like, if I get lost, he's the one who's telling me where we're going.
For sure. So I suppose that brings us kind of up through, like roundabout, I don't know, if we're going to make the story linear, around 2019, where now you're getting your first look and you got, hopped right into the spotlight. Okay, 15 minutes you're going to be on. I feel like that's better too, just kind of like ripping off the Band-Aid. And this has been another one of these recurring questions, jumping around a little bit, but, mostly keeping it temporarily relevant. When COVID hit, this is an experience we've all lived through together, and I've gotten, like I was saying to T. Davis in the hour previous, it seems like I've gotten such unique and such a range of responses as to how the COVID world has affected all of us individually. It took a big swipe at my world. Like a lot of things changed, a lot of things were different. I've heard from people who actually business was booming based on what they were doing. It was actually a catalyst to do more, and they were busier than they ever had been. Is when what did the COVID world look like to Nick Mizesko and the things that you were doing? Did it change a lot? Did it not change a whole heck of a lot? What was the COVID experience like for you? So, COVID
was weird.
Sure
is
was.
the biggest understatement I've ever said.
Right.
So it's one of those things where it's like, I knew in the industry of esports, like we were probably going to be fine.
Yeah.
Like, but the biggest thing for me is like, and this is where like, you peel back the curtain. Like, again, I'm a 1099 worker. I'm not employed by anybody.
Right.
People book me and I do those jobs.
Yeah.
And when COVID happens and you hear, budgets getting cut and things like that, you go, well, I don't know how much longer I'm getting paid. And I think that's what a lot of people were going with at their own jobs. It just, instead of being like laid off, they just don't call me. They just go, hey, we're not doing anything. I think the biggest change was just like, it was everything being remote. We've been lucky with like Mudhead. We were remote for like 3 months before COVID hit. We had some budget cuts and we're looking to save some money. So we went from flying out to the studio in Huntsville to doing everything from home. So for Mudhead, it wasn't a big deal. Like it was business as usual. EA was definitely like we were just sitting there going, what's like, if they had called us in April and gone, we're not running the Madden Bowl this year, I think everybody would have gone, that makes sense.
Yeah,
like,
right. Yeah, reasonable.
No one's that surprised by it.
Right.
I mean, I think the biggest change was just like everything moving remote. For me, I prefer working in a studio. I like, don't get me wrong, it's nice doing a show and then getting to go like lay down in my own bed and see my wife.
For sure.
Because like 2020, I was on the road 31 weekends. I think I was out of town.
Whoa. That's the vast majority.
So it's a lot of weekends in hotels, and like it's nice, but like also like being at home, like you got to deal with a whole nother level of stresses. Like man, like it's like this year, even 2021, we like I want to say it was Madden Challenge. Like my internet went down for an hour, and it's like that's just another thing you have to stress about.
Right.
Like it created new challenges with being in a remote environment. And I mean, again, it is just, you can't recreate being able to call games with somebody in person is amazing because you get to go off of facial cues. You get to like, you guys are interacting. You guys are having conversation. Right. When you add a 1.5 second delay because you're remote, it sucks. It sucks a big wiener and it's very bad and no one likes it.
Yeah.
So it was certainly challenging. I still like, it's still surreal to me. Like I still remember those and I had COVID the first like 3 weeks of COVID. Wow. Which was less than fun. Here's how early I had COVID. We called the hospital and went, hey, we think, we have COVID. And they went, can you breathe? And we went, yeah. And they went, don't bother getting tested. We don't have enough of them. Like, just stay home. If you start dying, show up. Otherwise, stay away. And it was like, oh, all right, cool. But like, it's still surreal to think back to like, I remember like looking out, there's just no cards on the road. And like that stuff was just wild.
Yeah.
But it was certainly a challenge. We're lucky just to be in an industry that like didn't really, everyone was home playing video games. So esports were pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like suited for it, to be honest with you. I know I've had conversations with other creators. A lot of the big YouTube guys noted that Madden 20 for their gauge was a less like viewer friendly game, maybe just because the meta was so run heavy. But they noted that, all their views were up significantly. And I think it's probably just because they had a captive audience in a lot of ways. And it seems like to EA's credit, it seems like they have really stepped up. That's another thing we touched on with T. Davis. They really stepped up to, bring the necessary equipment where they needed to bring it to and setting up all the competitors with really, a solid video, audio, visual type of thing. Was it, I imagine, kind of a similar experience for you? They were like, were they shipping stuff out to you that you were then using to broadcast and be a part of these programs?
First of all, Lineal, huff my farts. Huff my farts. Bite me. Yeah, I mean, it was just tons of crates of stuff, and it got worse this year. Like, the worst part about Madden 20 was we had a damn backdrop, which I had to build in my house, which I had like a 1950s Detroit bungalow. There wasn't that much room.
Right.
And so and the other weird part about that, was how my room was set up was I had my computer at the desk that was already in there. The previous owner left a desk there because he built it in the room and like glued pieces together and couldn't get it back out of the room. So he just left it there. It was a nice desk.
Okay.
I set up my computer there. I had no problems with it. But when they went, we're now setting in another camera and you're going to have to set up a second desk, I went, Pop says what? Because there was no room.
Right.
So we were like playing Tetris with furniture, like building backdrops and stuff. But yeah, it was nonstop crates. Like and it got worse this year because like with the Madden Bowl draft, I had like 2 sets because there was the draft set and then like the calling set. And so like I think when I sent back all the stuff in May, they came and picked it up. I had 14 crates.
Holy.
I had so much stuff. My wife was like, thank God. I thought we had moved in a second set of stuff from the other house. It's just all your work stuff. Please get it out of my house.
Holy cow. That must have been a relief for her to get that. See, the way my spatially this is set up, there's just not infinite room here. Some of this stuff needs to go. I need to be able to live my life in this house.
Facts. At least you didn't have to send it back like 6 times. Hey, Noah, guarantee that you're going to be at every tournament and you don't have to send it back. Like, that's all it is.
Noah's going to get the stuff one time. He's just going to have to use it all year, I think, for sure. Good stuff.
But yeah, that stuff was wild. And I'm interested to see what we do this year.
Do you anticipate now, thinking about this year and kind of thinking about the year to come? And of course, anyone's guess is as good as the next guess, but do you anticipate that we might see any in-person events? Do you think maybe not yet? I mean, from what you can share, and of course, I want to be respectful of all confidentiality that you need to maintain. Do you got any good guesses? Do you think we might see some in-person things? Is there anything cooking that you can tell us about? What do you think?
It would surprise me if we had in-person stuff. I think that the 2 things that are working against it are EA has proved in general they're incredibly cautious as a company. I mean, like, let's be clear. We haven't had challenger events since Jacksonville. Like, we haven't had anything that's not at the studio outside of the Classic since Jacksonville. They're very concerned about safety and health and liability. And then on top of that, like with sort of the Delta variant picking up and numbers picking up, it would surprise me if we had anything in person. I would love for it to be in person, but it would not surprise me if they sort of went like, this year's going to be remote, settle in, and then we'll look towards 22 as being back to in person. I know they obviously want to be in person. They spent $10 million building a studio. Like they have a beautiful studio in Redwood that's sitting there unused. But it would surprise me, at least in the short term, if they were doing any tournaments that had players in person. Could they have like production crew? Maybe. But like it would surprise me if they were like flying 16 players to a hotel and putting them up like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. And they've also had to invest in the infrastructure that's been necessary to make this stuff happen already. So it's like, they're kind of running a play that maybe they're a little more familiar with rather than having to, drum something up and start from scratch. So I think my guess would probably tend to be the same. So on the note of, EA and all the great people they have working over there, one of the questions I'm curious about, and I've asked a couple of you guys for perspective on is, when I see hate and criticism, a great thing about Madden is it encourages such strong community involvement, and some people like literally just live through the game. Our social networks, the friends that we make, Madden has a lot to do with our lives in some ways, whether that's sad or not. It just does. So I think it lends itself to the community being very vocal sometimes, and sometimes being a little OD with it, going a little too far sometimes. So when I see out in the wild on Twitter, social media, whatever the case may be, individuals getting called out, the guys that we have access to, whether it be Clint or Kralo, and I know Kralo had the moment on Good Morning Madden last year where he kind of leveled with us and was like, listen, man, like I got bosses too. Like I'm doing my best out here. I really am working hard. Do you share the observation that some of these individuals get it a little harder necessarily than they should, or maybe you're of the mind that as the leader of the team, it kind of comes along with the territory? And I guess I'm curious as to I can't imagine anybody hates you, but like, do you get any of that? Like, do you think we're a little bit harder on the individuals?
So, I have a unique perspective because I've been a game changer with EA since 2018. Like I know Clint pretty well. Like Clint and I talk. I know the dev team well. I know Kralo well, but I'm also on this broadcast team. And so, yes, I think that like at the end of the day, like in 1995, if somebody made a bad game, how did you tell the developer it was bad? You just didn't buy the damn game. Like that was it.
Right.
In 2004, when there was a bug in the game, what'd you do about it? You played through the bug. Like at the end of the day, there was no patch.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I think obviously, like I think that the individuals get way too much flack. I I understand the position from the community. I understand that, everybody wants the best game, and it's easy to want to give feedback, but I think, a lot of the feedback is there's a whole lot of people who are real brave behind their keyboard, but the second that Clint walks in the room, they're going to go, "Oh, I think the game is awesome, Mr. Oldenburg, sir, and I love it." And that's the stuff I can't handle.
Preach.
I get plenty of this. I had some guy tweet at me. What was it? It was after, I was in the middle of clubs. I think it was at clubs because we were on ESPN.
Mm-hmm.
And some dude in a muscle shirt tweeted that it was like, "I was gonna watch this Madden stuff, but I can't stand at Nick Mizesko yelling. Turned it off." It's like,
what, bro?
All right, cool.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you're not gonna be missed, bro. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. I'll miss you.
So, but I mean, we just live in. It's part, like, it was something that I had to deal with, both through like the first stuff I was doing and then going with EA. Like, for example, when I'm calling games, like when I call Mudhead, I'm in the chat all the time. When I'm on EA, I don't think I've ever looked at the chat. I think I looked once and it hurt my soul, and I was like, "Nah, I'm good."
Totally,
like,
yeah,
EA,
I'm never doing that
EA
again.
chat's horrible. Yeah, EA chat's horrible.
It's actually the worst, yeah.
It is the COVID of chats.
It is factual. It's the worst place, yeah.
It's horrible, and that was something that I had to like deal with personally as somebody who, like, I was bullied a lot in high school. Like, I've never been the cool guy who was confident about anything, and it was something that I had to deal with personally, was like just being like trying to let some of that stuff, because my first instinct is to come back and go, "Hey, how about this?"
Yeah, how about you go F
shove
yourself?
it.
Yeah, right, yeah.
But I can't, because I like my job. So
right.
That was something that, like, letting a lot of that stuff roll off was like a big deal.
That must have been a unique adjustment that you've had to make. Do you think that you've made some good progress in that way, in the confidence in the delivery, because you appear as though you are for sure, but I'm sure, as is always the case, there's usually more than that going on behind the scenes. Another one of these recurring themes that I always am sure to touch on during these interviews is just talking about mental health, and whether somebody is really hyper successful with their mental health, or whether they have their days. I have my days. I deal with my bipolar depression with varying degrees of success, but I imagine being thrust into the public eye in front of so many would be tough for me. I can imagine was tough for you too. Do you think you're getting better at managing the ways that it makes you feel and the impact to your mental health, or is it still a project, do you think?
It's always a project.
For sure, yeah.
So end of clubs, Madden 20, I had my first panic attack. Like, I had like bad panic attacks. It, like, so bad, I missed my flight coming home from clubs. I couldn't get on the plane. Like, wow. I just sat in the room and I said, "I can't move."
Yeah.
And it was a combination of a lot of stuff. A lot of it was job stresses. Like, I had a producer who wasn't a big fan of me. Okay. He brought in his own guys to do stuff. Like, it was a tough time. And I was also not, I know, like, at that time, I wasn't doing my best. Like, I wasn't putting like the right amount of work into what I needed to do to be best on broadcast. And I think that was sort of the first time that I went like, "Ooh, I gotta like figure some stuff out." And so that's when I started, like, I went to therapy and sort of put that as a main focus. And it's always going to be a thing. Like, it doesn't go away. Like, I know, like, I have bad, like, I've seemed like an outgoing person, and once I warm up, I am, like, I love hanging out and talking with people. Yeah. I have, like, the worst social anxiety in the world. Like, awful social anxiety.
Right.
So it's something that's always going to be worked on. I think one of the biggest things for me is continue to have that mindset of, at the end of the day, you can only control yourself. Like, I can only put in as much work as I can, and continue to be the best that I can be, and the chips are gonna fall where they may. At the end of the day, like, I think that the biggest struggle for me as a broadcaster, as my job, as this being my full-time job, was the realization that at the end of the day, like, you're only as good as you are, and the rest of it is based on how much people like you. At the end of the day, like, it's why I try not to, like, legit, I don't turn down a lot of jobs, like, unless there's something I can't get out of. Like, for example, RG came to me when they were doing the LCQ. Right. He's like, "Hey, do you want to do a watch party for the LCQ?" And I had tickets. I was going to Vegas. Like, I had a a bunch of people going to Vegas. It was for a friend's birthday. And I told him, sure. I went out that day and bought a $1,400 streaming computer so that I could bring a laptop to me. I had free rooms on the Strip. I spent $600 on a Airbnb that had internet so I could run this watch party. I lost money on the weekend doing the watch party, but it was so that I could say yes, because I don't ever want people to be like, because like, for example, one of the first jobs I ever said no to was DreamHack. I did the first DreamHack, and then the second DreamHack was during clubs that year, and I was booked, and so I said no. And they never asked me back. They have their crew, and I went, oh, okay, that's how it works. Right. So I'm never gonna say no. Like I if I can do it, I'm gonna try to do it. And whether it's remote, whether it's at my house, whether I have to bring my laptop, I'm gonna try to do it. And that's that's the stress that comes with this job, is being like, I have to make sure that I hold on to these jobs, because you never know when they're gonna go. And that's just part of being, an independent contractor, is you just don't know when somebody's gonna go, well, we brought in Greg, and Greg's cooler and he has a better rate and we like him more. So see ya. So it's motivating, but also terrifying.
For sure, because it's like you don't know, like you don't want to miss the next thing. So it seems like, in the interest of not missing anything, you don't miss anything. You just hit all the above options. You mentioned that you had to make some adjustments after that anxiety attack in 20 as to like maybe your prep or your research. And I'm curious if you might be able to share, like specifically speaking, what are a couple of the adjustments that you made to get better at what you were doing? Was it spending more time on prep work or research, or was it, a tendency of looking at your own tape? Like, what were some of the adjustments that you made at that point when you knew you had to change something?
Watch a ton of my own tape. I part of the reason I don't is I feel like for me personally, it just stresses me out more. Like it's one of those things that like there's nothing I'm gonna be able to change about it. So like I rely on feedback from my producers and directors and guys I work with.
For sure.
The biggest adjustments was for sure like I've always been somebody who having sort of a natural like talent. I've always just sort of been like, I can hop in and do whatever. Like I can have guys will be like, hey, will you call our franchise league finals? I'll be like, cool. Sure. And I hop in 10 minutes before and I call it.
Yeah.
But it was certainly like spending more time on research, spending more time, not just interviewing players, but with our stat books and highlighting things and just sort of coming in with a bevy of information, because I can talk through a play as good as anybody. I know how to do that.
Yeah.
But it's filling in those gaps. It's not just being one note and making sure that you have anecdotes and things like that. I mean, again, I live on like cue cards and things like that. Like I just it's taking notes. And some of it probably just for show. Sure. Like I don't use everything. And like, there's a lot of stuff, like obviously I probably don't need to write down that like Drini won the Madden Bowl in Madden 20. Like I know that stuff.
Right.
But from a outsider's perspective, you see me with a bunch of notes and you see me with a booklet and you see me with cue cards and they go, oh, that guy really came into this prepared. And I think that's always what I want to give off of, that is the idea that like this guy it's not just like, he's not just coasting through it. This guy works hard at it. And I think that was the biggest adjustment for me.
Because to your point, I mean, this is different. This is as a a freelance professional. The details are important, right? The way that you're coming off, whether or not you needed to be that prepped or not, I would imagine the impression that you are prepared is almost as valuable as you actually being prepared, as far as your career and the opportunities that you have access to. So now, as we're moving forward, where do you think the game stands right now? I think I'm excited. I think everyone's of course excited for the release of the new year, right? We got Madden 22 just around the corner. As far as your gauge, like you've seen some things from behind the scenes. You get to experience the community as a viewer as well. Are you excited about kind of like the direction of things overall? Like, were you liking the Derwin versus the World and the team events and the squads stuff that we got going on? Like, are you excited for the future here? I'm sure.
I mean, obviously, I'm excited for the future. Yeah,
sure.
I mean, I think I understand the hesitancy of, especially the competitive community. Like, listen, I get how Derwin came off. Like, everybody goes, this was a pointless thing. at the end of the day, like here's how it works. At the end of the day, EA has to make money.
Yeah,
like, they do.
Yeah.
If they don't make money, there's no Madden Championship Series. I mean, that's how it is. And at the end of the day, competitive Madden as a product it's built for the people who are competitive Madden nerds. It is not a broad, like, the game itself is easy to explain to somebody. Like, it's football, like, watch football. But, like, you have to really appreciate the adjustments and things like that and understand what's going on. Otherwise, you get the people in chat to go, these guys just run one play. These guys suck. I could beat them whenever. No, you couldn't. I guarantee you couldn't.
You'd lose by 50 points for quarter one.
You lose by 50 points before we started the game.
No shot.
You know, personally, I didn't love the squads format.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone that did. I'll be honest. Like, there is, sure. I've not heard anybody who's like, yeah, that was awesome and perfect. But at the end of the day, like, there's going to be more team events and things like that. I'm more a fan of things like the Yard Invitational and things like that, where we get to see the communication between teams in sort of a more fun format. I think you're going to see more of that, and I think that's important because we have to give some of these players like an opportunity to show their personalities. And at the end of the day, when you're competing for $100,000, you're kind of locked in and focused on that. Like you're like, at the end of the day, like everybody's like, well, the NBA guys don't do that. They're always out there dancing and talking. We hear them mic'd up. Yeah, because they have guaranteed salaries. They already know they're getting paid. Like John Wall can dance the Dougie because he knows he's got a paycheck. If it was, boy, you have to, score 20 points tonight, or we're not going to pay you $10,000. We're going to pay you $50. There's going to be a lot less dancing on the court. There's going to be a lot less fun. And that's, I think, what we need to do with like these invitationals and things like that is have more of those to mix in with the competitive events where we get to see the best of the best compete and be the best.
Right, because, I mean, to your point, I think the mass appeal in Madden and in our community is indeed the personalities that are involved in the game. The personalities, the human beings behind the controllers, I think, that's where the mass appeal is. But, and again, to your point, I felt the same way about some of the squad stuff. Because the thing is, I mean, from the outside looking in, like a third party, someone who's not involved in Madden, if they were going to watch the highest level of Madden, like a Madden Bowl final or something like this, they're going to see a lot of Mike a linebacker, double team the end, get the cut, roll out, throw it away if you don't like it. So like from like a football fan's perspective, a lot of this stuff might not click really. It's like it's not. And squads, too, said the same thing to T. Davis. Like, the actual gameplay was pretty gross. Like, the stuff that you needed to do in squads to be successful and win games was pretty tough. But I think the personalities therein are what's available to capitalize on something like, and, we could find happy mediums. It doesn't need to be, the boys club scene that Boss Bot Wars, shout to Dubby, that he's been putting together, but that's where he is capitalizing the hardest, is on the personalities that are playing the game, kind of making almost the gameplay secondary. So I think I would tend to agree with you that the better we can capitalize on that, I think, the more audience we can find, and, the better for the game as a whole, I would suppose. Yeah,
and again, at the end of the day, like, EA is a business, and they've sold to sponsors, and so, like, don't get me wrong, I love our community, I love a lot of guys. I mean, I can count on one hand the number of people who I think are dicks in the Madden community. There just aren't that many. I think most guys are awesome. But there's something that, like, again, and a lot of it is dealing with a community that has a lot of young guys in it. Like, this is not an old community. It's a lot of sub 21. Like, most of the players. I called a game for something. I don't remember which one, if it was Knights or Mudhead or something. But, like, the combined age was 33 years old between the two players. And I was like, all right, cool. Like, I feel I'm 2 years younger than that. Whatever.
Right.
But, like, there is, like, some part of, like, the players are going to have to do, like, I'm not saying you have to, like, curb your personality, but, like, y'all, I see y'all's Twitter. Like, some of you guys, like, you're just not sponsor friendly. Like, that's the problem. And, like, there are guys, like, we want to have guys mic'd up, and we want to see these moments. And then you mic up certain people, and they drop an F-bomb or they drop an N-bomb, and it's like, yo, we just can't have that stuff. Like,
for sure. At
some point, like, you can't roll like that. So, I think showing personalities is important. I think we have to build stars like that. And I do believe, like, I think, well, I'm Bobby V. I think dickhead's okay. I think you can call people dickhead on stream. I think that's fine. But like it has to be a partnership. EA has to, like, EA and the broadcast team, we have to do a better job building stars. We have to do a better job of showcasing their personalities and getting the audience to attach to them.
Yeah.
And on the flip side, players, there is some level of the players have to like be okay with, like, guess what? You have, for example, you have to do post-game interviews. Like, I'm really sorry. You can't say no after you lose to a post-game interview.
Yeah, and just close the camera and shut the thing down. That's pretty childish.
If you want to be a star, like, LeBron James still has to go to a press conference after he loses. Sorry. Like, that's how it works. Right. And if you don't want that, that's fine, but don't ask for millions of dollars then. Sit there and go, I'm cool winning, $1,000 Friday Night Footballs, and I'll make $10K playing Madden a year and be okay with that. But if you want the $70, $80, $100,000, which is a lot of money, there are some obligations you have to make. And like, that's been the biggest pushback from the community is like, how do we get them interested? Like, I mean, behind the scenes example, we were going to have for the Madden Bowl a watch party with like, user was going to host a watch party with like 16 people.
Okay.
Like all the former people who lost out of the Madden Bowl, they were going to put them all in the room and watch the watch party. He was going to talk with all of them. And literally everybody said no. Everyone was like, nah, I'm good. I don't feel like watching it because I lost.
Interesting.
Well, that's the stuff we have to do. You think I like sitting here and reading through 8 sponsor reads? Not really. Like, it's not that much fun. It's not that much fun talking about how Snickers is the official partner of the NFL and Bose headphones. Right? Like, it's not the best thing, but it's what you do.
For sure.
So it's a balancing act that I think we're working through.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing, man. So we saw our boy Bobby V in the chat, and Bobby V, don't worry. I didn't forget about stuff. I'm loving all, your insight and perspective from, not just your life, but as it's overlapped with EA and your commentating gigs and all that's, all that is great. But as we turn the corner here, I want to be respectful of your time. I'm sure you got a whole heck of a lot going on. We just crossed over the hour. I want to ask about like your personal direction.
Heck of a lot going on. What do you think's going on in my life? My wife's at work. I have not a damn thing. You want 8 hours? I got you, buddy.
Well, we might need it. Vegas. The Vegas trip. Who did you go with? Was it a W? And tell me a little bit about your most and least valuable players from Vegas. I understand that the rule of thumb is, you go to Vegas and you got to leave some of it over there. I'm going to encourage you to bring some of it home here. I'm going to encourage you to bring just a little bit of it home.
If I remember, I think I watched your talk with Bobby, and he was pretty nice.
He was pretty. He was a little bit delicate about it. Was this a delicate boys trip? I mean, what do we really got going on here, bro? Is this really that delicate out here? You got a little baby Civ, celebrating his 21st out here and whatnot, and said he was being a successful wingman. Bobby V crowned himself wingman extraordinaire. By your gauge, who was the most valuable and least valuable players of the trip?
Most valuable of the trip, Bobby V. And not only is again, he wasn't wingmanning for me. I'm married, ladies.
That's right. When my relationship is set up, I wasn't wingmanning anybody. I was enjoying myself spectating.
But Bobby V just from just one of the best dudes in the world. And somebody who like he could tell like when things were like weird and things like weren't going well or whatever, and he'd hop in and lighten things up. Like Bobby V was awesome.
Legend.
Obviously me, I was awesome. Like y'all,
obviously,
I spent so much money on these young motherfuckers. God, my poor wallet. So yeah, that I would, if outside of myself, obviously, Bobby definitely MVP worthy. Although honorable mention, I gotta give mention, by the way.
Yeah.
First of all, I love K. Harry, but his brother Kyle. His brother, the Harry Bros. Okay. K. Harry, party, having a great time. His brother came to Vegas, and I mean, Bobby V, correct me if I'm wrong, came to most stuff that we did. Like, there wasn't a whole lot that he missed. This dude did not consume one alcoholic beverage the entire time, and was still just like, he was all in there. Like, he was hanging out and having a great time. And I kept I'm popping up. I'm like, yo, dude, you Gucci? Like, you need anything? He's like, no, man, I'm having a good time. And I'm like, that's a true GOAT move right there to be. He's not a gambler and he's not a drinker, and he went to Vegas just to hang out with his brother and hang out with us. Like, that's a real G move. Yeah,
that is a super legendary move.
I mean, he literally could have gotten on the plane and sat down next to K. Harry and been like, dude, that sucked. If you ever do that to me again, I will never talk to you again. Guess what? We're going to an art museum for 10 hours just for that move. But Dude didn't drink, didn't gamble, but hung out with us like the whole time. Like real G move. LVP without a doubt, 100%. Well, there are two LVPs.
Okay.
And let me preface this with, I love these guys.
Okay.
I love them.
This is what I came for.
them. This isn't, but let's be clear. It's a 5-day window, and you got to know when you perform poorly. Honorable mention LVP, the number 2 LVP was Jasper. I love Jasper. Jasper's my guy, and I'd like him more if I saw him at any point in Vegas. This dude failed all the time. This dude was off playing poker. He showed up to dinner. I booked a lovely dinner at Bugsy and Meyer Steakhouse inside the Flamingo, and he texts us 15 minutes before we had our dinner reservation going, I'm not going to make it. I entered a poker tournament 30 minutes ago, and I'm in the top 20. You son of... God damn. I would know it. If you told me Jasper was there, I would not have known it.
Come on, Jasper.
Also, I made him room with Bobby, and I think Bobby's mad at me about it. But number 1, LVP, without a doubt. I love him. He's my guy. I love him. Without a doubt, is Civil. Civil was the biggest L that weekend. Civil was an L. Bobby might not have been nice enough to say it. I don't care that it's your birthday, you son of a bitch. You were the L of the weekend. Big ol' L. Like 28-3 choke job on what was a free trip to Vegas. How'd you do that, Civ?
Oh no, not like this. That bad? Big choke?
Big choke. Bobby, okay, ready, Bobby? Ready? How many nights were we there? Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I'm not gonna count Saturday or Sunday. I can count one of them because I heard secondhand stories, but I wasn't there for Sunday at least.
Yeah.
4 nights we were there. Civ is the reason why 2 of them were ruined. Like 2 of them were absolute garbage because of Civ. Okay.
Are we still figuring out our alcohol limits at 20 for the 21st birthday? Was that part of what we got going on? I know you got to leave most of it in Vegas. We got to respect the rules, but
Civ was white girl wasted the whole time. Oh, absolutely. Now, let's be clear. I love Civ. My favorite moment of the trip. I was nice enough. You know, I flew in when Civ flew in. Like I had to wait at the airport like 45 minutes for him. But I booked us a limo from the airport to take him to take us to the hotel.
Nice, man.
And dude looked like a kid in a candy shop. His face was pressed against the window. He's like, "Is that a casino? Is that yes, Civ? It's all casinos." And I love Civvy Poo. I did, and I got him a room, and I told him, I'm like, my card's on the room. Like, if you want to take stuff out of the minibar, like, don't go wild, but like, have fun with it. I don't care. Right. Like, and we stopped at a liquor store, got him liquor and all this stuff, and he paid me back by throwing up all over the floor.
That's really nice.
Like the Undertaker sat up and just threw up everywhere. And then he invited somebody who might have been the worst human being I've ever met in my life. When we went to downtown Vegas. I hope he's watching. You're a douchebag. He's like, I want to do something fun tonight. I'm like, all right, let's go to Fremont Street. Fremont Street's a lot of fun. There's live music. There's like street performers. Like, it's a fun atmosphere.
Okay.
And we get down there and he goes, I invited my YouTube friend and he's going to take us somewhere. And I went, ooh, he's a local. That's not a good choice. And he took us to 3 of the worst bars I've ever been to in my life. Ugh. And that was all bad. It was all bad. Some of you are 30 plus, right? I was 30 plus. Bobby's 30 plus. But I think we were the only 30 pluses. I don't think Jasper's 30 yet. Sid was 21. K Hair's like 25. Like, it was a bunch of young guys. Oh, and Fune is also 30. Okay. So it was like half and half. But yeah, he invited the biggest douchebag in the world. And in fairness to Civ, woke up the next morning and went, yeah, guys, I fucked up. Like, that was really bad. That was really bad. It was really bad.
That's when you know it's bad.
Yeah, that was all bad. So Civ was the biggest L. But it was oh yeah, the Minecraft YouTuber. I didn't get to interact a ton with him. This dude, like, no joke, like, I'm not sure had any social skills. like a perfectly like nice dude. Like, the first guy was a douchebag.
Yeah.
Like, was talking about how he was going to sell cars to all these people and bang chicks. And I'm like, cool. All right, dude. Yeah. Like, you look like a twat. Yeah, this Minecraft YouTuber, he was a fine guy. Like, he was a nice guy, but like, this dude was just like socially awkward to a painful extent. And Yeah, not an out. And apparently the worst part, and Bobby can say, apparently the worst part about him was after I left. Like, they went to a club the night that I left, because I had to fly back for a wedding. I took a red eye back for a wedding. Apparently, like, he was a nightmare that night, and I was like, I don't know, like, he was fine with me. Yeah, I love Civvy. And let's be clear, even though he took the biggest L, I'm still inviting him to Vegas. Like, he still gets to come to Vegas.
His reunion tour round 2.
yeah. But yeah, big ol' L for Civvy. But it was all good. I'm mad at everybody in our group because I spent $3,000 on a cabana at Dre's pool club. And everybody came in and went, "Oh, we're too hungover to drink." And I went, "I'm sorry, one more time. We have a $3,000 liquor minimum. You better buckle up, start drinking."
Oh yeah, no, that's when you separate the men from the boys. That next morning, like, I think I'll just lay by the pool or something. Like, nope, you're not. You have to start drinking right now, expeditiously.
Yeah. I mean, credit to Bobby drank a decent amount of that and then broke his flip flop, and he was all mad about that one. Like, that was all bad.
That's tough.
Civ got white girl wasted. Yeah.
What about the Michael Blackson picture? Bobby V told me about that. Y'all just like literally ran into this dude like just out and about, like out in the wild. Wait, what's that?
I was not there.
You were not there? You weren't in that photo?
Nope. I wasn't there that night. I was so fed up that like that night, like that was Friday night, I think. I was so fed up with like everything, and like I'd gotten like clobbered at the tables too. Like it was just like a bad day. Right. I ran into Civ. He was walking with his buddy, and he was like, "What are you doing tonight?" And I'm like, "Probably nothing. Like we've done like 2 clubs. Like I'm old too. Like, I think I'm just gonna go get some Chipotle and go to bed."
I'm with that, bro. That's my type of night.
I did. 9:30. I ate a burrito. I went to sleep. Oh. I woke up at 6:30 in the morning with a second burrito that I had ordered for myself. Had that for breakfast. Went back to sleep for 2 hours. Everybody showed up to second breakfast at 10:30. Hungover. I was like, y'all, I'm feeling good. Like I'm not gonna lie. I had a wonderful night.
That's
but yes,
adult
I missed
moves.
Michael Blackson.
That's big adult moves in the channel. The second Chipotle burrito, veteran move.
It's a clutch move, y'all. I'm just saying, take care of future you, because you're going to thank past you when you're sitting there going, I'm hungry. What's this? Second burrito? God bless America.
God bless America. I'd be doing that with takeout sometimes, too, because you got to think, of course, you got to consider the meal that you're about to have, but then what about later? You know what I'm saying? Food's going to get here like 2:30, something like this. I'm be hungry come 7 o'clock, 7:30, have a couple beers. What's going to be available for me then? You got to look out for future you. It's important.
And especially when it's Chipotle, you get that second burrito. Like, you don't have to go out. Like, take care of yourself.
Come on.
But yeah, so I missed that. I missed that picture. They sent me that picture. But like, they also like, that was the night that I got a text from Crush, who I never saw the whole time. Crush was in Vegas. I never saw him. But I got a text from Crush at 4:15 in the morning. I'm like, yo, Crush, I'm a 31-year-old adult. I wasn't awake.
Right. You're not catching me up at 3:30 plus. That's not happening.
Like, Bobby texted me at like 11:30. I was already asleep. It was like, yo, you coming out tonight? And then Crush texted me at 4 o'clock like, yo, where you at? I texted back in the morning like, asleep was where I was at.
Not just asleep. I'd been asleep for 7 hours at that point,
I was
bro. What
deep in a REM cycle. Like, I was out skiing. So then, fun fact, literally 2 days ago, I just got back from Vegas again.
Right.
Because that's my life. And it was with, if any old heads in the chat know Rico, it was with Rico Williams, who's my homie.
Dope.
He set up this trip. A bunch of people came out. It was a lot of fun. But Rico doesn't understand that I'm a 31-year-old adult. He booked us, count him. We got there on Thursday. He booked us a club Friday night, which was a lot. It wasn't a club. It was more of a lounge. It's cool. Inside Mandalay. It was great. It's called the Foundation. I highly recommend it.
Nice.
A pool club Saturday morning, a pool club Saturday night, and a pool club Sunday morning. And I went, I'm sorry, homie, you expect me to go where?
Bro, what?
It's 105 outside. What are we doing? So we made it like the first pool club we got there, and we spent the whole day there. It was a good time. The second one, we definitely didn't make. I was asleep at 8:30. We all went to bed. Like, we were like, yo, it's been a long day. We're tired. And then the next day, we also didn't make that pool club because my wife was flying out that night. And I was like, yo, I'm not going to a pool club for like 4 hours and then driving her to the airport. Right. So we've been to one of them. But I'm like, dude, I'm a 31-year-old adult. You can just book one pool club, and that's probably one too many for me. Like, you want to book like a spa day? I'm in. You want to book like a really nice dinner at a steakhouse? I'm in. I'll pay for it. That's fine. Pool club? Oh, homie, I'm 31. Like, what am I going to do? I'm not picking up chicks. Like,
no, for real, dude. Yeah, let's get out there with my rippling abs and pick up fucking nobody. I'm not here for that. And they don't tell. I mean, they do tell you, which is part of the problem. But then you don't really believe it until you experience it, man. After 30, really after like 28, bro, my hangovers last for 48 hours. They ruin me for the rest of the week. What does our body metabolize it different? I mean, what the French toast is going on with that, bro? What?
You want the real tea? You want the real dish?
Real tea? Yeah, spill.
You want
Come
the real
on.
tea? Okay.
That's what I came for. French toast.
I went to back in the same trip that I called the LCQ watch party.
Yeah.
You can look at chicks. Hey, Glenn, my wife was with me. Like, no. A dick. Like, that
See, the way my relationship is set up. No,
hey, honey, this is really fun. Hold on one second.
Yeah.
All right. Have you seen? I wish your ass was like that one. Where are you going? Yeah. Where are you going? Give me a drink. Anyways. So that same trip, it was I think it was the Sunday night. We were just finished the LCQ stuff. It was all done. And there were a bunch of Madden people there, and I'm not going to name names, but their names rhyme with Fabered, Blorio, Quank's IQ, and Frush. Could be anybody. Who knows?
Neither here nor there.
It could be anybody. You don't know. So we go out to, they were like, we want to go to a club. I'm like, cool. So I got us a table at Dre's Lounge inside the Cromwell, which is it was just downstairs. And remember, this was March, so we weren't quite out of mask mandate yet. So there wasn't a lot open. So we go downstairs to Dre's. We got a big Magnum Ciroc, and we're drinking. We're having a good time. They got a great DJ down there. Brought his wife to Vegas. Yikes. Hey, Sniper, I like my wife. I had a lovely time with her. Huff my farts.
That's an interesting concept these days. Like, actually enjoying your significant other seems to be like...
I love my wife. In fact, I paid $200 late to get her a flight because she had to work. I was like, yo, you want, like, please come to Vegas. Like, I asked her to come. Like,
nice.
So we finish a bottle of Ciroc. Everyone's blasted.
Yeah.
And this whole time, I'll say his real name, Banks, is an app. Not only he's 21. He's sitting there talking about how he can drink so much better than everybody. I'm so much better than y'all. I'm 21. I'm a college kid. Like, you all old people can't drink. Fine, whatever. We continue drinking. We go and start talking to some other people. Me and Jaybird are talking to these other people, lovely individuals. All of a sudden, we see Banks getting let out by security.
Oh, buddy. Yeah, it went really well. Huh? 21 years old, veteran stuff. Show me.
Huh? We turn around at our booth that I paid $2,000 for. It is covered like The Exorcist in vomit, like just like he turned into a sprinkler.
Damn.
And I went, oh, the security guy goes, are you with them? And me and Jaybird went, I have no idea who that guy is.
I've never seen those guys in my fucking life.
Yo, Dre's brought out like 4 guys with mops, and I'm like, I'm so sorry, homies. Like, but nonetheless, after that night, first of all, Jaybird made the biggest mistake you can ever make to a drunk person, okay? I fell asleep on the floor of his hotel room because Caesar's Palace is across from the Cromwell, and my hotel room was way down the strip. I fell asleep on his floor. And I understand this is being a nice guy, but what is the one thing you don't do to a sleeping drunk person?
Wake him up.
Don't wake him up.
Yeah.
He woke me up to like he was like, I'm gonna go crash in another room. You can take the bed. Yo, dude, I was out. Like, just let me sleep. Right. Like, I was dead. It took me an hour and a half to like fall back asleep because like the room was spinning.
Because you're hungover already too. That sucks.
It was bad. I'm like, dude, just like my head's rested against like the dresser knob. Like, that was my pillow. It's fine. Just let me sleep. I woke up the next day and I'm pretty sure I had to like check out of the Airbnb and stuff. I remember going to the Airbnb and like having to go like pick up like cords off the floor, and like I couldn't bend over because I threw up. Oh, no. I was hungover for I think 4 days. Jesus. And that was the moment that I went, I'm done drinking, like forever. I'm good. It's fine. We had a good run. It was a nice 10 years. I'm done.
I had a nice career of it, man. I've made a lot of good memories, made some friends out here in the wild. I just don't think I need to incorporate this as a part of my life going forward. I don't think.
We had a great run. I feel like we really connected well. I think we all had a great time together, but sometimes friendships got to end, and me and alcohol, yeet.
Yeah, bro, I'm pretty much at that same point, like in alcohol in my life. So, bro, I mean, as I suppose we turn the corner here and start to wrap the thing up, I wanted to touch on what you personally, we know, Nick Mizesko via EA, but like you personally, I popped in on a couple of your streams while you were doing card breaks for a while. You must be a memorabilia collector. I mean, I'm looking at your backdrop. Are you indeed a collector? Is that another one of the ways that you like to waste money in addition to your boys not coming to pool bars that you've booked out for them?
These guys have never let me down behind me. I love all y'all. Hey, man.
Nice job, boys. Nice job. Go fight out there. GG's.
GG's. Done the card thing. I will always do the card thing. I like collecting cards. Little less now. Because like we bought a house, and I gotta do a backyard and shit. And
the way my finances are, I got a check-in and a savings, and it takes 3 days to get from the savings to the check-in. The one that I was in there on the card break too, you were getting hoed. You were getting. It was not a good break. I don't think.
There's some stuff like usually I buy a decent amount of football. Like I like football product when it comes out, and like rookies in the new uniforms. Like I collect all that stuff. The one thing I don't like about cards, like there's no good way to display cards. Like I got these really cool cards. How do you display them? In a book? Like it just sucks. But I dabble on that, the helmets and stuff. Like I have this shelf filled up. I'm not buying any more until I get another shelf because there's just no like I literally you don't see. I have like 5 or 6 helmets over here too that like are just strewn about the room.
I love the matte black ones, bro. Go so hard.
Yeah, those are the Eclipse helmets. This is like this one. I will always love this one. This is Herbert on a matte black, like with a custom Herbert visor.
Oh my goodness gracious.
That is nasty.
That goes so hard.
Noah's here, so
we gotta whip out the Eagles here.
This one is an Eagles Super Bowl helmet with the Nick Foles signature.
Crazy.
Which is pretty cool.
Super dope.
But yeah, I love the matte blacks. The only thing about the matte blacks that kind of suck is like they do get dinged up sometimes, like in shipping, but like most of them are sick.
Even just like tapping a little white wall, you might get a little scuff on a matte black helmet, I would imagine. You got to be pretty careful with those bad boys.
Like this is a Darren Waller with a custom Raiders logo. Like,
goodness, bro. Yo, these are fire.
Cool? Yeah,
that should be the Raiders' default logo, bro. They should abandon ship on what they got, and they should do that one. That one's way hotter.
This one is Kyler with the Hail Murray inscription on a matte black Cardinals.
Bro. D-Hop is down there somewhere. Yo, the matte blacks go so hard.
Like this is on a red chrome flex. This is Larry Fitz with a Larry Fitz visor.
Goodness.
So yeah, I love the helmets. Like it's when I have money to spend, it's what I like doing.
Sure.
I'm trying to get the rainbow of all 32 teams, and I have 19. I have 20 right now.
20, so most of the way done. 20 down, 12 to go.
Yeah, I don't have a single AFC East team somehow. Like I have no AFC East helmets.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice, man. What about for your own personal content? Is it going to be will the focus for Madden 22 be on, what you have to do? I'm sure you'll have a full plate with your affiliation with EA and the broadcast and, everything you have on your docket otherwise as far as commentating. Can or should we expect anything? Will you be streaming? Is there going to be a Nick Mizesko YouTube, TikTok? Are there other places that we'll be able to catch up with you on? Or do you think you're going to kind of, stay focused in and locked in on, wait, hold on one sec, Nick. My headphones just died and I don't think... Hold on one second. Let me recapture over here. Fuck you. Fuck you.
Oh, shit.
Hold on. Let me recapture my desktop sound real quick here. And then it's going to be back to your show. Hold on a second. See, that's how you put together a long day there. The AirPods were like, bro, I think we're pretty much... Yeah, we're pretty much done with this. Okay, let me get a, if you don't mind, bro, can I get a mic check? 1 2 1 2?
Yeah, 1 2 4 10.
Okay, wait, I 20. Got you, and I don't think they got you. Do y'all have Do y'all have him? Do y'all have y'all got ears on Nick? Sounded good on your end there? Hold on, I gotta scroll.
All right, hell yeah.
Terrible. You guys good on audio? All set there? Good to go? Good, Nick? Okay, beautiful. Okay, yeah, so, the question I had asked before I had to switch things around there. What can we expect of you? Anything on top of, in addition to the EA stuff?
Tentatively, yes. The weird part of my life, just inherently, is, like, I've always, like, wanted to do my own content, but, like, inherently, I just do content for everyone else. Like, I do stuff for Mudhead. I do the EA stuff. So it's tough to find, like, a good window. But, like, I know, like, this year, like, my plan this year is, like, and I know that, like, every person out there is just going to be like, don't do it. But, like, I'm going to do MUT this year. Like, I've never played MUT. I've dabbled in MUT, but I've never really played MUT. And I think now with being the community manager at Mudhead, with doing, you know, EA stuff, with watching competitive, like, just being in the MUT sphere and sort of living through that MUT sphere will make me better as a commentator and give me more things to talk about on the broadcast and to connect better. So I'll be doing that. I literally just booked, like, I'm doing like 8 weekends at, well, we'll see if it's 8 weekends with how COVID is going, but 8 weekends at various NASCAR tracks, doing some MC work there. So that's going to take up some time. Yeah. Like, I leave, like, next week. I'm going to Watkins Glen, New York for the road
And
course.
This is in an official capacity? Like, you're going to be working like an MC out there?
Yep. Yeah. It's a job.
Nice.
With Allied Esports. So that's something I'll be doing. So we'll see. I mean, again, like, obviously, like, I watch guys like you. I watch all these content creators who have, like, regular streams. Like, it's never going to be that regular just because I do so much content elsewhere that, like, there's not a lot of time. But, like, it's certainly going to be something that, like, as we go along, that I can fill in, you know, 2 or 3 days a week with some content. Because, you know, there's always that thought, like, just that nags in the back of my head that's like, if all this shit goes away, I have nothing. Like, if everyone fires me, I have nothing to fall back on. So I should probably have, like, my own content, right? Like, that'd be cool. So that's what we're going to do.
Yeah, man. I mean, it makes a lot of sense for sure. I mean, yeah, of course, and we're all always thinking about that. Like, can you be sustainable? Just like everything else dropped off the face of the earth. Like, can you yet persist? And I think you probably got that under control, bro. Resourceful enough, you know, smart, handsome mother father like you, bro. I think sky's the limit for sure.
How you doing?
Nick, man, we just crossed over an hour and a half of broadcast time here, bro. I love to hear the story from the jump, and, you know, it's starting off in high school and the early internship, and, you know, how the tryout, my man had to come out on top of a tryout to get the first gig, and everything that's happened since then, man. I know, and, you know, let me take a moment to thank you personally also, you know, reaching out to you. I know you didn't know me from Adam before I hit you with the DM, and, you know, the fact that you were able to hop into a stream and, you know, share 90 minutes of your perspective with us is super dope. Very well appreciated, man. I know I'm sure the chat echoes that sentiment for sure. Is there anything that we didn't get to? I wanted to hit Vegas. That was a big ticket item in addition to the whole story. So that's good stuff.
I dragged like the entire Madden community for that shit. My bad.
That's right. Is there anything we didn't get to touch on just yet that you want to make sure we went over, or any parting bits of advice or guidance to the chat for you know, a bunch of your fans really that are in the chat right now?
No, I mean, again, I for me, like, you what you're doing, what all these great content creators, like, yeah, it's why I sub to all of them. It's why I gift subs and all this chat. Like, you guys are what keep the community going. So, like, y'all just keep supporting, like, content creators. Like, this is what grows Madden as a whole. Obviously, like, you know, tune into the MCS stuff or whatever, but, like, the thing that's going to grow Madden, I mean, the reason why, you know, like, Warzone is so big is because people go and watch Tim, and people go and watch, you know, all the 100 Thieves guys, and they support them in their chats, and that makes people want to invest in it. That's how we're going to grow Madden. Keep supporting content creators. You know, if you can support them with, you know, that lovely $4.99 a month, it's one Starbucks coffee that makes a big difference for content creators. So just keep supporting them. I love your stuff, man. I've been watching back all these interviews, so you're awesome. And anytime you want to chat, just let me know because I'm around. I'm just chilling.
Nick, man, I'm definitely gonna take you up on that. It means a lot, man. Definitely humbled and honored that you've seen any of my stuff at all. You're one of the guys that I try to take cues from.
I did not go to the Power Exchange. First Feather, don't lie. I was not at the Power Exchange. No. I was at the Hanky Panky, but I was not at the Power Exchange. I missed the Power Exchange.
All right, bro. All right. So let it be known, okay? It's on record then, legend. Nick, man, again, bro, a pleasure and an honor to be able to sit with you for 90 minutes here. You're an absolute legend. I can't wait to see everything that you do over Madden 21. I'm going to be tuned in, locked in for everything. You, sir, are a legend, and the community is better off having you in it, and I appreciate that, man. Keep leading from the front. I'm going to keep following. People are going to keep paying attention and just keep doing all the right things, man. It's truly inspiring. Good-ass human being in addition to being good at everything you do, man. A pleasure and an honor, Nick.
Hey, a pleasure, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. Good luck with user tomorrow, man. Like, that's gonna be a mess. Like, just try making him eat something spicy tomorrow. That's all you can do.
All right, bro. I'll do my prep work this evening, then get ready for user. Hopefully, we'll catch you in the chat tomorrow. Then, Nick, thank you again for your time, bro. Man. Big legend, man. Peace.
Much love. See you.